This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Dreamers Pro for breaking this. At least he's the first one I saw talking about this breaking news situation. Please subscribe to his platform on YouTube. Although he does have platforms outside of YouTube as well, Instagram as well. So, according to reports, ESPN have agreed to a new deal with Cam Newton, where his role will be greatly expanded beyond what we have seen so far. And I believe that he will make an appearance on ESPN next week. I believe about a week from now, the NFL season starts. I think it's Thursday. And I think that's when he's going to make his appearance on ESPN for this upcoming season. Now, I think Cam first started making regular appearances on ESPN this past fall. Now, sporadically, he had been a guest on ESPN, but now, the way I'm looking at it, he essentially replaces Shannon Sharpe, who, of course, had an expanded role for the network covering the NFL and was delusionally believing that he was going to still be with the network after this scandal involving the OnlyFans model. You know what I'm saying? And first of all, let me just say this. When you look at it, Cam Newton is much younger than Shannon Sharpe. I think Shannon Sharpe is, even though Shannon Sharpe looks younger than his age, Shannon has to be pushing 60. I think it's 57. Cam has to be. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how old he is, but I would suspect he's under 40. Or if he is 40, he's just about 40 years old. So he's much younger. And Cam also, at this point in time, by already having his own podcast, he has his own platform. So that, of course, brings an audience to ESPN. Now, did he have the platform that Shannon Sharpe had at the time that Shannon joined ESPN? Not quite. But Cam can definitely build an audience. And he doesn't come with the, I had to turn the music down a little bit. He doesn't come with the baggage that Shannon Sharpe comes with. You know, Shannon Sharpe obviously had some other things going on, man. You know, even before the OnlyFans fiasco, you know, of course, it was a year ago, I think it was, where the audio leaked from Instagram where, you know, he was talking, not talking, excuse me, he was engaged in some activity with somebody named Michelle, which we didn't need to know about. And ESPN gave him a pass on that. And you have to understand that ESPN is owned by Disney. And Disney's a brand. And Disney is a brand that has some sort of moral decorum. Now, we can all get into an argument about the hypocrisy of Disney and all of that, but at the end of the day, Disney's still Disney, and, you know, it has an image to uphold. And, you know, this isn't ESPN After Dark or something. You know what I'm saying? This ain't Real Sex Sports Edition. You know, now if it was that, then Shannon's all good. You know, now if it was up to me, I really don't care what Shannon does with a woman, but I'm not corporate, so it doesn't matter what I feel. You know, he's part of a business, a corporation. That's what people got to understand. Shannon, these guys work, even though they don't look the part, they don't wear suits and, you know, have the crisp, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air haircuts. At the end of the day, these guys work for corporations. They wear a mask of urban, you know, to help to bring in urban viewers. They wear a mask that shows, hey, I'm just a regular dude talking sports on TV, but trust me, these guys are corporate. And you can't do certain things, even in this climate. Now, the one thing I am wondering about though is, you know, Shannon Sharpe, no matter how you felt about him, Shannon had the ability, it has the ability. I'm not speaking of him past tense, but he's no longer on the network. He could talk about things other than football. I haven't observed Cam Newton or listened to him enough to know whether or not he's as in depth talking about certain things that, like, I would imagine, knowing from having listened to Shannon Sharpe, he could talk about football. He could talk about basketball enough to be credible. I even heard him talk about baseball to the point where he was credible. Outside of that, when it needs to be, to expand about talking about politics or social issues, he could do it credibly. Shannon Sharpe, not necessarily we always agree with him, but he could do it credibly. I don't know about Cam. I tend to remember hearing Cam, and I have heard him talk about things as far as social issues, but politics and basketball, I don't know. I don't know how good he is with that. But man, you know, shout out to Cam Newton for having this opportunity, and Shannon Sharpe has nobody but himself to blame because he really dropped the ball with this one big time. Um, he stood to make something around what I think a new deal he would have made 120, 150 million dollars. So that's definitely on him, man. But maybe something will come down the line for Shannon Sharpe, opportunities. But I think that his tenure with ESPN is over. And I hate to add insult to injury, but I've noticed that even with Club Shay Shay, his podcast viewership is down. I've been peeping that out for a couple of months now. But look, life is about peaks and valleys. And sometimes you're riding high and sometimes you're riding low. Things get bad. And that's when you find out who your true friends are, when things are going low. Everybody want to be your friend. Everybody want to ride the wave when things are going great. When Shannon Sharpe's name was Butter, everybody was doing videos praising him. Or people were doing videos crapping on him knowing that they could put his name in the title and get AdSense money. But now that he's down, people are turning back on him. I don't know, man. I just notice people are quick to judge, just like I noticed people were quick to judge when it came to what's his name, the basketball Beasley with the Pistons. Everyone convicted him because he was named as a suspect as far as potentially cheating when it comes to gambling, only to find out that the Department of Justice cleared him and nobody in the media apologized. Nobody in the media said, you know what, our bad for jumping to conclusions and convicting this guy before he was actually convicted of anything. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell what you guys think.